Team Forever Forward coming at you with a carpool Q&A video, answering people's questions from Facebook, Instagram, and just general questions people said to me at training last night, and just general questions people have. Yeah, so shall I hit them with the first question?
Let's go through some.
Right, so first one from Verity Erin Fitness on
First
Instagram.
one of 100 questions.
There's going to be a lot of questions from Verity, so cheers. Right, so should I mix up my cardio training to get more benefits? Like, would you change up your weights? Like you would change up your weights program every few weeks to avoid your muscles becoming too efficient at certain exercises or programming?
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You can go. You can take this one.
Mix up your cardio. I would say it depends what your purpose is. I know what stance you're coming at from, but if other people are watching, it depends where you're coming from and what the goal is, I'd say. But overall, probably have a mix of it. You need to have that strong aerobic base to build off of first. But I mean, like, it depends whether your goal is strength and you need it just a baseline conditioning, whether it's hypertrophy and you're competing and then it's just a matter of trying to use it as a calorie burning tool, or whether you're doing it for sport performance, which then it gets a little bit more intricate, or whether it's weight loss and you just need to move. For yours and bodybuilding prep, I wouldn't be so worried about it.
I think it would be the cardio that you can actually motivate yourself to do, really.
Yeah.
And
I'd say that's it.
Adherence for that. So, question number 2, also from Verity. What is the difference in results between HIIT and LISS? How should I decide which to do? Should I do both?
It's a bit too keen on the cardio for my liking. I don't like all this cardio talk.
Yeah, it's just like you walked to the car this morning
That's
and you
it, that's
did
me
cardio.
done.
The difference in results.
So results-wise, it depends how low like LISS, for people that don't know, is low intensity steady state, and then is it HIIT?
Yeah, high
HIIT is just high intensity
interval
training. So I would say, if the low intensity steady state stuff is truly quite low, there may not be any aerobic adaptations that occur from that. LISS is a very good tool for, I think, for strength training and for hypertrophy athletes, primarily for the sake of sparing the body from more high intensity work, because weight training is high intensity. When you think of it and you break it down, you're doing a set of reps, which you could see as a high intensity interval, and then you are having a long rest to recover from said interval. So if you're trying to get cardio in without building up fatigue for that, I would say LISS is probably the way to go, but like, probably have a mix of it anyway. HIIT's going to cause a lot of pretty good adaptations aerobically, same as if you did like more kind of longer duration, higher intensity. But it's again like specificity. If you're doing it for a sport, then you need to do the longer distance stuff as well. But HIIT definitely has a place for fat loss because of its time saving ability, and people.
I was going to say, in terms of deciding which to do for an everyday person, HIIT can sometimes be a lot more time efficient.
Just getting that work and done. But again,
getting it done in busy lifestyles.
She already knows I say this every time when I lecture, but it depends on the person and what the goal is. To what I'd recommend, and look at situation to situation. But adaptations, LISS are going to have some aerobic adaptations, but not a ton, because it's at a low level and it's not really pushing the body to adapt to anything in particular, unless your LISS is pretty high. And then HIIT's going to have the same aerobic adaptations, but some slightly different, like, nuanced details between it. But that's that.
Number 3, what should I look out for when choosing a PT? Beard.
Preferably if they have a logo that looks like 2 F's backwards in like an upside down triangle. they're pretty good PTs.
Yeah, I would go for those ones.
In all seriousness, then, what would you recommend? Then?
What would I recommend? If you go to someone, and basically this is what I don't recommend. I've seen some pretty shocking PTs before. If you go to your PT, they don't bother finding anything out about you. It's just you turn up and they stick you on some machines and then you're done. And they don't actually give you a plan. Like, you tell them what you want and they tell you what you need and how you're going to achieve that.
That's what you want, yeah.
Yeah, and you find out they give you a plan of how you're going to do it. Rather than, I see people just turn up, the PT sat down eating a microwave meal and they're on a machine, like they'll be on the treadmill or something and PT wanders off and stuff like that. It's not okay. Like, they should start off with, they find out about you, your lifestyle, your nutrition habits, and generally you will know if someone cares.
And someone that's invested in the process. Like, if you turn up and they're not really bothered, then that's
you need to find someone that cares about you getting results.
And also they have a solid, like, understanding of why they're doing everything. I always say, if you ask someone why, they should have the answer. I mean, people definitely can bullshit their way through stuff though, like, so you've got to be watching out for that unless you don't, like, if you don't know what's going on. But
when you are doing the session, if you say, why am I doing this, and they're like,
what benefit is this going to give me?
I just like making you do step-ups.
I don't know,
it's not okay.
I'll put it in there. But I think that's a good point about if they don't ask questions. Like, we've already talked about individuality, and biologically we're not that dissimilar, but everyone's got so much different goals and they're all at different points in their life. There shouldn't be one thing that they just kind of come in and do, like maybe a set template and then work from that, but still they've got to find out about you and what you're wanting. So I'd say they're big ones, and just make sure you share similar values to the PT as well, and like you'll be able to pick up whether they're passionate or not. But I think that's enough.
I think that you'll be able to generally realise if they care or not about you getting results.
Don't pick them based on whether they're famous or whether they're in shape. Like I said, we're going to do a video on that.
Good point.
That's a big error. Just because they're in shape, I love the survivorship bias. They may be in shape in spite of what they're doing, not because of what they're doing. So that's a really big one to bear in mind for that.
I know some horrendous coaches that
lopsided. My phone's having a stroke.
I know some horrendous coaches that look great, but they can't coach for toffee. So, right, next one. What is the quickest way to get abs?
Go for it. You put your answer that you had on Instagram.
Paint them on.
Paint them on.
Right.
Take
lighting.
Yeah,
painting.
Lighting's good.
The phone's going again. So
I would say that
focus on your nutrition.
That's it.
Nailing the food game.
That's it.
Is
nutrition. Oh, actually, you can get like muscle suits, can't you? You can just like, that would be quicker than painting them on. That'd be quicker. That'd be much quicker.
Time efficient.
Muscle suit or paint them on.
Right.
There's a film where they paint them on, is it? I can't remember.
Right.
Depends how detailed you want to go for how long it'll take to paint them on properly.
Shall we change up the person on Instagram, or do you want to keep going through Verity's questions?
No, we'll get through all the questions we had, so just like go through any question you want to do.
Okay, so another one for Verity. How much attention should I pay to my salt/sodium intake?
Salt? For regular time, in terms of performance, not too like, just worry, like make sure you get maintenance in there, just like an alright amount, but not too, like, I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you're feeling super light-headed and stuff after your workouts, then potentially have a little bit of water and like add some water to your salt post-workout.
Add some water to your salt?
Yeah, because everyone has salt after a workout, right? Intra-workout salt intake. But in all seriousness, yeah, add some salt to your water if you're feeling lightheaded. And then competition-wise, I wouldn't manipulate it that much unless you have a coach who can do a proper protocol, but even then it's short-term effects on blood pressure, so it'd just be a little bit of salt pre-stage to increase blood pressure to then increase vascularity.
Sweet. Are there any benefits to going dairy?
Just that. I thought you were just going to say,
are there any benefits? Done. No. Are there any benefits to going dairy or gluten-free if I don't have any particular allergies or intolerances? I do not think so. No. There is no benefit.
Nope. None.
Just got to focus on this one.
Oh,
Definitely this one.
oh yeah, because the other things.
Yeah. Sorry, car mapping.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be my job. My bad.
It's all good on that way.
What will we do?
We done that. Gluten, dairy. No worries.
Just focus
Don't stress.
on
unless,
your
like you said,
food
unless you've
game.
got an actual issue with it, then no, it's fine. I
Right.
think I have a glass of milk with every single meal, and I have done for the past silly number of years. This thing is doing my head in. Stay still, phone. I just hold it there the whole time. We've got about 5 minutes. Let's smash these ones out.
Okay. Do you think you will still be training in 10 years?
Yeah,
How do you
I'd say.
stay motivated long term?
I'm lucky enough to have found my passion
Yeah.
very much straight off the bat. Even like learning a tiny little fact kind of gets me excited, which is kind of sad. But that's why I know I'll be in this area for a while, and I've invested a lot of time, so I kind of don't want to just drop out of it. And nothing else really excites me that much.
Yeah, I think
So much
definitely
variety as well. So
see myself
I'll start
training in
getting
10
itchy
years.
if I don't train.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I think mentally, like
But-
when I'm grumpy, everyone's like, you need to go and train.
Yeah. But we're lucky. Like, if you are a PT or a coach, please bear, like, and you're working with clients and you can't understand why they're not motivated to go to the gym, understand the fact that you're
It's
lucky
not
that you
their
enjoy
passion,
this
yeah.
and you're passionate about it. They aren't. So, like, stop trying to
They
just be like, oh, be motivated. It doesn't work like that. So,
likelihood is they see it as a chore.
yeah. So just bear that in mind. But that's it.
I almost think making a long-term goal as
Yeah.
well
Right,
can help you stay
Oh, we
motivated.
can do part 2 of this, I suppose.
Um,
Way back. Can't we? 'Cause we've still got quite a few questions to get through.
Would you suggest any different types of
Oh,
exercises?
Stay still. Oh yeah, go for that one. I like that one.
Would you suggest any different types of exercise or training tips for taller people? Ooh, good question.
Yeah. So training modifications for taller people. I don't have much experience in.
I don't think any of us
No.
do, in fairness.
I think we're all under 5 foot, so that's it. No, I'm joking. There are.
The Smurf guy.
Right. So I will go through some modifications. One thing I will say about like height and genetic factors that you can't control, there comes a point where, yes, sometimes you may be at advantage, but at the end of the day, you got to deal with what you got. So
Yeah.
a lot of the times there isn't going to be huge changes that you do. You're still biologically going to work the same way. In terms of training adaptations, just if you like, a lot of the times you may have to adjust these like kind of predetermined like ranges that you have to hit.
It's like technique things.
Technique
isn't it?
wise, like bar to chest may like cause some issues on your shoulder big time because of the length of your forearms. Deadlift, you may have issues.
You've got further to go down, basically.
Yeah. A deadlift again, if you can't get to the floor, bringing it up onto blocks. If you can't control it to the bottom,
Or in a rack.
yeah, or in a rack pull, it's absolutely fine. Like squat, you can modify depth, modify foot position wider to try and disperse some of that length laterally.
Torso angle.
Torso angle, getting more of a hip hinge in there. But to be honest, there's not a huge amount I would say about that. Like, you may be.
I don't think you would actually change the exercises.
No,
just
you
the
just
way
have
you
to
do
be
them.
bear in mind about techniques going to be slightly different and figuring out ways to modify it to still get the same
Plus.
benefit.
Again, like you said earlier, it would be different person to person.
Yeah, and a lot of tall people have like good range because
Yeah.
of their anatomy elsewhere. So like their hip anatomy may allow them to get down, and their mobility may allow them to get down to the floor in a deadlift, but they're quite tall. So, I mean, a lot of the world's strongest men are pretty damn
humongous.
tall. So it's not like
They're
thing
just
about
also
height.
square.
The thing about height is it's harder to do like powerlifting movements because of Verity said I'm not allowed to do say the word moment arms, but because of the moment arms, shorter people can be an advantage, but also taller people then have potential to create more force as well around the joint, which can be seen as a positive. And like I say, world's strongest men are pretty tall, so no excuses.
I think. Wait a minute, we got some bonus ones. Right, on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, Tasha.
Yeah, I like this one.
I walk loads, but I know I could be upping the pace to increase the benefits of it. What's the best way to train myself to go at a faster but steady pace without basically jogging? I like that.
So if you have a route that you do, have your little like markers. We're here now, so it's gonna be a quick one. Have the markers that you use for that route, and then time it to like test. The trouble with walking, people say go for walks, but if you're using it as a training modality, you need to realise that you need to be like progressing with that like you would for any other training.
Yeah.
So time it certain distances so you can try and get quicker. Increase the distance of the walk, so even if you don't necessarily increase the intensity, you can increase the duration, the length that you go for, and then it's just going to come to a point where you have to go into a bit of a jog.
Is it like you said? It's exactly the same as if you were going to be running,
just got to
biking.
increase the intensity a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're here now.
Part one
done. We'll answer some more on the way.
See you later, guys.